I'd like to start off this video with the definition of the word game. An activity that one engages in for amusement or fun. Eager or willing to do something new or challenging. Or, you know, just play video games. I mean, I don't know anymore. And now let's go to the definition of the word simulator. A machine designed to provide a realistic imitation of the controls and operation of a vehicle, aircraft, or other complex system used for training purposes. I bring this up because in recent times it's become quite evident to me that a game series is really lacking some identity of itself. And that game series is, as you can probably tell by the title and the fact that I'm not a happy bunny, the Formula 1 franchise. Hello ladies and gentlemen and all pets everywhere, it's Karl here and welcome back to yet another video on the channel. I didn't expect to be making this, but here we are, such is life. F1 2020 got announced a couple of weeks back, now when I'm making this anyway, and like I said, it's become clear to me that it doesn't, I'm fearing anyway, that it doesn't really know what way it wants to go. Is it a game? Is it a simulator? I don't know anymore. So, let's look at some facts here. First of all, let's look at the iRacing logo. As you can see, it's blue and red. Very baseline. However, there's another key thing in its logo. It says simulator. Or simulation, I can't really remember at the moment. But it says something very similar. Let's look at the Assetto Corsa logo. And once again, we are looking at the word simulator. R factor 2. Simulator. Now let's look at the F1 game logo. Video game. Now, a video game is not, in my opinion, supposed to be realistic. A video game is supposed to cater for everyone. That's what video games are for, essentially. They're supposed to appeal to a wide range of people. People that aren't specialists at the game, but also people that are specialists at the game, and bringing them together into one massive community. That's the whole point of video games. It's bringing people together on an online medium. That's one of the things the F1 game does so well. It appeals to both casual players and people that are really hardcore fans of the F1 series. It's a brilliant method of doing a video game, in my opinion, anyway. Since the slidey, ice-cold, dancing on ice, quite frankly, handling of F1 2009, the game series has come on leaps and bounds. There's no question about that. Every single iteration has had an overhaul on the graphics, little details here and there refined to create gradually a more immersive F1 experience. And it shows. F1 2019, in my opinion, is the best F1 game to date. And it's not perfect. It's really not perfect, and I've outcried it in 3 videos now. But it's the best that they can do with it, in my opinion. Codemasters is not swimming in dollar bills. Let's just clear that out the air. They are not swimming in cash. They are not bathing themselves in the wine of the baby Jesus that is the Mueller. They aren't the biggest company in the world. They're not your EAs. They're not your bloody... Oh, I'm going to have to hate to say it, but freaking Epic Games. Oh, it's so cringe. But it's a fact. They aren't rolling around in that money. And it shows, yes, but with what they have, I think they're doing just fine. We've got a decent damage model, we've got a good tyre model, it's got all of the F1 cars from the season along with some classic cars. And still not classic tracks, but we don't need to talk about that. But they're giving you lots of content and, yeah, multiplayers. We don't talk about multiplayer, in my opinion, anyway. But it's not a bad game. And like I said, it's a video game. It appeals to the casual and to the hardcore fans. That's the point of the term video game. Now let's get on to the real point of this video. I came across an article, it was the other day actually, and it is, quite frankly, one of the worst things I've ever read. The article itself is called F1 Esports Has to Do Better. The person that wrote this, their name is not on there, presumably because they're scared that they're going to get hundreds of F1 fans coming up to their door with pickaxes and blowtorches. And I wouldn't be surprised because it is, like I said, one of the worst things I have ever seen. So, Mr. Demo1Garage.com, here's why you shouldn't have made this article. I won't go through all of it. I'm just going to go through my best bit. So, watch it, drink it in, because here is the shit that is this article. First of all, it talks about Max Verstappen being all lovey-dovey about esports, and then it talks about Norris and, of course, his equipment not working. And they say here, and it's really quite poetic, and you do feel sad for the kid. What viewers see...
You how you are, you just have to.
What viewers see instead is this lonely figure, slumped back, head tilted to the side, supported by his right hand, as he watches the race he was supposed to be a participant of. First of all, too dramatic. Stop it! Secondly, that is the esports pro draft race. You have lied to me. So that's awful. They have just deliberately nabbed a screenshot. It's true, he wasn't in the race, but you had so much time. You could have used the right fucking screenshot. The article then goes on to talk about how Codemasters and F1 games are at the centre of this big problem. Apparently, that esports is apparently now awful. Verstappen here goes and says, I don't even have that on my fucking computer. I think you really have to close down the fucking game and throw it off your PC. Throw it in the bin. I will never fucking join that shit. That was a poor Dutch accent, I'm really sorry. And also, probably not word for word what Max Verstappen said, but at the end of the day, it's as close to probably what he was thinking as I can come. But the best thing is, from that they go, that the short of it is that the game itself is so far from simulating real F1, he's not prepared to spend time with something he will not be competitive racing. I would love to know how from that paragraph, how they came to that conclusion. I would love to know how they came to that. The context in this is awful as well, because I remember after the Vietnam virtual E-Prix, which is actually Australia, where Verstappen said, this is why I don't play F1 games. I think it was because he was talking about the fact that they don't work properly and they crash, partially. So, again, context, come on now. There are too many niche tips and tricks you need to learn to be fast. You have to race and drive in that game in a way which wouldn't work in the real world. In fact, some of the strategies to become faster in F1 2019 would actually slow you down in a real F1 car. I think, what? Hang on. No, wait. That's why it's a video game and not a simulator. If you want to be in a simulator, go to iRacing. Go to Assetto Corsa. Formula 1 is a video game. I'm not going to come out of a match of Fortnite and go, yes, I know how to use a machine gun. It's time to go stand up a bank. I'm not going to come out of Minecraft and go, yes, I know how to do engineering now. I'm going to go to university and become a master fucking engineer. I don't come out of the cinema after watching Cowboys vs. Aliens and go, yeehaw, you UFO, I'm going to shoot your mother shit, boom! It's silly. It's a silly way of putting it. And then it goes, for F1 drivers, they would need to learn a whole new skill set, and many are just not prepared to spend the time doing so. So you were telling me they are not going to spend the time doing something fun and challenging? That is awful. Quite frankly, I therefore must be an F1 driver. Thank you very much. F1 esports are now organising the next round, which is supposed to be the debut of Zandvoort, but while they are using last year's F1 game, F1 esports doesn't have access to the new circuits, they don't have access to new liveries, dedicated servers, blah 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 blah. I couldn't give a shit. The whole point is that, well, oh yeah, spectator mode since F1 2015 hasn't changed apparently. Firstly, was there anything really wrong with spectator mode? Not really. You get an onboard mode, you get an outside mode. It's a bit simplistic, but you get all that you need. And, like, honestly, there's a reason that they haven't released them yet, and there's a reason why they have this release date for the F1 games. It's like they might as I don't understand what was going through this guy's mind. They then talk about apparently a lack of innovation from Codemasters. Okay. And then apparently they don't seem to be able to go the extra mile with their F1 license. I do feel like there are restrictions, hence why they've only now introduced my team, hence why there are only some classic cars in the game and not all of them. I feel like there is a reason for that, so easy does it. They then go on about the virtual GP live stats, and then they go blah blah blah. It's apparently a huge failure from Formula 1, and because they failed to attract anywhere near a full grid of F1 drivers. Not every single F1 driver wants to do esports. Ricardo wants to spend time with friends and family in Australia. Hamilton, I understand why he doesn't want to. Bottas, I understand why he doesn't want to. A lot of them don't want to spend their time. I think during this pandemic, they'd rather care more about family and friends than esports. I'm not saying that other F1 drivers are insensitive, by the way, for doing esports. I'm just saying that some F1 drivers would prefer not to do it. For good reason, I think. They then go on this massive complaint that it uses reduced damage and driving assist to detract from the skill and the spectacle, and it uses a 50% distance rule, blah blah. Strategy goes out the window. Biggest talking point of a race week. No, like, seriously, okay, firstly, cars are equal performance, so strategy is a bit of a, it's more down to the skill of the driver, thank you. Secondly, reduced damage model, because do you want to see basically 3/4 of the grid go out of the race for doing one spin? No, you don't. The F1 games are really unforgiving. Not for good reason they're unforgiving, but they're unforgiving. And you don't want to see a bloody race where most of the grid is gone, because that isn't fun at all. Next up, they take off the Codemasters post cloak and move to F1 themselves and say that they have also not done enough to grow F1 esports. The early virtual Grand Prix were embarrassing. One occasion where the Queen will cut their legs off. And also, brilliant spelling of amateurs as well. I'm certain that you spent so much time writing this article, and that it just wasn't a blood rage for clicks. Wow. Formula 1 could easily add some requirements for Codemasters too. There's requirements for them to retain... Do you think they're not doing that already? Are you telling me the F1 with control over what Codemasters can and can't include on their game? You are telling me that they haven't thought about this? Are you serious? They already have requirements for Codemasters to retain the official license. Why do they suddenly think that they have the ability to run every single video game ever made? I don't understand. Here comes my favourite bit, the most dramatic bit. You've got to sell this here because you need clicks. You need just that extra little bit of money from people clicking. Because honestly, right, 2,224 people have viewed this when I'm recording this. One of which being me, in a blood rage. So here's the dramatic bit in question. Here we go. As long as Dr. Julian Tan, he that they're referring to, the head of esports organisation, continues to publicly hype and congratulate each event for its success, talk big numbers about the concurrent viewer statistics, all while keeping a blind eye to the failures, continuing to overlook the shortcomings of the software, nothing will change. Oh no! Can we just chill? Can we just chill for a second? It's just, this is an article that sounds like it has never watched an F1 esports race in its life. If any of you watched Esports Pro 2019, the racing in that was incredible! The pace of the field was almost separated by nil. It was, and some of the overtakes, Jarno Opmir's overtake in Japan, this clip right here. It was a meme, but I don't care. That sums up that overtake. It was beautiful. It just sounds so self-centered and so narrow-minded, this article. It sounds like it doesn't cater for the wider picture. Formula 1 may be the pinnacle of motorsport, but without change, it won't be the pinnacle esports series, but a long-running joke. Well, this article's a long-running joke. Subscribe for more! That's my favourite bits of the article, anyway. When I read this... the thing is, right, I didn't read this properly the first time I went through it. It was tagged in TRL Limitless's Twitter. And the replies in it, like, people are agreeing with it. And I can't tell if they've properly read the article a second time. I am not saying, by the way, that the Codemasters F1 games are perfect. Multiplayer servers are f***ed. There's no other way to put it. The experience on multiplayer doesn't appease me. And I think the biggest problem that Codemasters has now is with articles like this coming out, that the worst thing they can do is buckle under the pressure and make it a simulator. That is the worst thing they can do. Like I said, video games, widespread audience. Into the barrier, I'll play the clip on the screen now.
Codemasters are clearly moving their F1 games in a very serious direction. And whilst this obviously is having amazing breakthroughs like the esports series, I increasingly feel like casual gamers such as myself that just want a bit of fun online are being forgotten about.
If you take away the ability to cater to the casual player, do you know how much of your audience is going away? So much. The problem for me translates to online as well, because I come into every online, this might just be my psyche and whatever, but I come into every online race. It used to be fun. It's not fun anymore. I come into every race needing to win. because that's what the Formula 1 games are now about, apparently. It's all esports, esports, esports. The Challenge Williams event, Arava was bloody absolutely smack-talked for doing donuts across the line, because apparently he wasn't taking it seriously. He should be kicked out of the event. It wasn't a fucking esports event. It was supposed to be a fun event. I don't understand the general public sometimes, man. So, in conclusion, we throw that article in the bin. Out of here now. Get out of my house. And I put forward to you this final conclusion. The F1 game franchise has evolved a lot ever since it started way back in 2009. Even from 2010 till now, it's evolved tenfold. It's not perfect, but it's the best F1 experience we have. The article I just read, in my opinion, is extremely biased, and do post a comment down below if you disagree with me. We'll have a talk about it. We're civilized human beings. We are allowed to do that. But we all need to be very, very careful that F1 doesn't become too serious, because if that happens, a lot of the casual audience will start to go away. So let's not be too serious. Let's just relax a little bit and just realise that the franchise we have now, as it is, to be honest, pretty good. It's not perfect, definitely not perfect, but Codemasters are not the biggest company in the world, and for what they've done a good job. And with that, thank you all very, very much for watching this video. Like I said, post a comment below. We'll talk about it in the comments below. If you disagree, agree with my opinion, or have a completely different opinion altogether, do post it down below. We'll have a nice chat about it. We're all humans, we're all civilized. And it will be good fun, I promise you. If you did enjoy, then slap that like button, smash subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That looked like a half milli rock. I'm never doing that again in my life. I'm the whitest of the whites. But if you do all that, you will not miss a single one of my uploads. I would be very grateful. I also have a variety of social medias. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and Discord. Links will all be in the description. Do give them a follow and join them. It will be very, very good fun. Until the next video, whatever it may be, once again, thank you all ever so much for watching. Stay safe, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.